Hi, tutorial number 6 for red velvet cookies. This is the second half of your final justification one. So if you haven't already watched the first one yet, go back and watch that first because I've already talked about how this fits into the project. Okay, so while I was starting the new one, I thought we probably needed to add something else in here. Your initial specification was 65. Through the process, you decided that the perfect weight was 55 grams. So I'm going to add in here adjusted to 55 grams. So your initial specification, you've actually acknowledged. You've acknowledged that through testing and trialing, it was too big, and you've adjusted it down to a smaller size cookie. So, and then you've justified that in there. Now, if you're wanting achieved, the original cookie was slightly too large, and that so the stakeholders all feed back that it needed to be smaller is sufficient for achieved. If you're looking for merit, you might say here something along the lines of the next step of it would be in this environment served in the cafe, serving it free with a coffee, it definitely needed to be smaller. However, all my stakeholders agreed that if they were buying it somewhere like the tuck shop, then they would prefer it to be a bigger cookie because they're paying for it. They want something that's more substantial. They want to feel like they're getting good value for money. If you're aiming for merit, then you might go on to say, when I surveyed the teachers, they all wanted it slightly smaller, particularly the women. However, the men wanted it slightly larger. So you're going to draw information for excellence from 3 different areas for each of those. Now you're going to keep going with all of these specifications and fill them in. Now, if you decided not to do gluten-free, then here you're going to write not applicable. If you're aiming for merits and excellences, you might put in here something along the lines of, I tried the gluten-free one. I had hoped that I would make it. However, I really struggled to get them to get the shape and the texture that I wanted and that all of my stakeholders enjoyed. Now, easy to make, you might decide is also not a priority for you. You might have prioritized texture, color, flavor over the cake mix one, or you may have chosen the cake mix one, but justify why you've done that, and both on a personal opinion level and on stakeholder feedback, because there's no point making it easy to make if your stakeholders don't like it. So make sure you put in there what your stakeholders liked, particularly about the easy to make one. Now, the last one, will I accept, modify my final cookies? Add in a paragraph explaining your decision to accept all your decisions, or what and why you will still modify it further. So you're going to type in here a summary of what you learned. So you might talk about your priorities with gluten-free and not choosing it. You might talk about how you felt that it was more important that it was easy to make because you don't have a high skill level. You might talk about the colouring choices you used. Even though you used the gel food colouring, you really wanted to use the beetroot food colouring, but you couldn't get the colour to be as deep and pink as you wanted it to be. You might talk about across the board, the stakeholders in the cafe really enjoyed the cookies that we made and prototyped. So yeah, put in there all of your things that you found out. Talk about how you trialed different flowers and the structure of the flower that you chose was the best. Now, if there's anything that you still want to change, then you can add this in here as well. You might say, I slightly overcooked my cookies, so I need to make sure that I don't do that next time. You might put in here, they crumbled a little bit, I pressed them down too much and they were too thin. So yeah, just put all of those sort of things in there. And then I believe you are done. Good luck.